Born February 21st, 1973, Marlon Tashawn Martin was raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His parents, Douglas and Ursula Martin, raised Marlon in the church.
From the time he was born, he was in church. He grew up in church. He was part of the youth department and the youth activities, and he enjoyed church. He was one of the church drummers. He grew spiritually. He was like any other teenager.
I had a very happy childhood. A lot of love. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents and both sides, and lots of family, aunts and uncles and cousins.
He was a child that was loved before he got here and wanted. And of course, he's my heart.
As a child, it was his devotion and the love for the Lord that kept Marlon in the church. And it was in the church where his talents grew as well.
I was a church kid. So my grandparents had started with them and they instilled it in their children, which of course my parents instilled it in me. So they were very instrumental, made sure that I was in church every Sunday. Even if they couldn't make it, I was always there.
When Marlon was a kid, when I would go over to my dad's house, my dad would sit in his chair because my dad had his famous chair that he would sit in. And when he would sit in his chair, sometimes my dad would just sit there and tap his feet and, to his own little beat. And Marlon would tap his feet to his own little beat, And then later on in life, years down the line, Marlon started playing the drums in church.
I can remember very fondly a moment, I had to be about between 10, 15, somewhere in there. I was at my Uncle Sonny's house and I could hear myself preaching. I didn't understand it, but I could just hear it, I could see it.
A talented athlete and musician, Marlon quickly made a name for himself in and outside of the church.
Music was a big part of my life. I had a singing group early on. I went to School for the Creative and Performing Arts for about 4 years. So music was definitely something. I played the piano and I played the drums. And I was really big into music. Radio, that didn't find me until I got into college.
I like that, y'all. I like that, yeah, I like that, y'all. I like that, I like that, y'all. I like that, yeah, I like that, y'all. I like that, I like that, y'all.
I was doing a radio show myself, and I was having fun, but at the time I realized that my friend was going through a change himself. I just wanted to do something to pick his spirits up. So I said, hey, come to the radio with me. He fought me tooth and nail. Had to talk to him for days on end about it. Until finally he was like, all right, I'll go. And then it was just basically us just doing what we did in the room. Talking about people, playing music that we like, and laughing, joking.
WXJX, it's the Mar and Biv show. Without Biv, he's off today. We got the Tantalizing 12 coming up in just a little bit. Don't forget the Elite 11. It will be coming up in just a little bit.
With a new start in radio, Marlon also gained a new perspective on life. A perspective that didn't always agree with his upbringing in the church.
And he was DJing and, doing parties and things like that, and doing Club 106 at Whammo, you know what I mean? I remember those days. That's when we were all really young, you know what I mean? And he was new into the industry. So, it was new to him, and he just took it and by grass and he ran with it.
I mean, I was known in the city. I went by Sean Richards back then and DJ Marvelous. So we had a crew called No Sleep Productions, and we were like a family, and we did everything together. We went everywhere together. We worked together. It was a great time.
No Sleep Productions is something I came up my years of DJing, man, constantly, like sometimes 7 days a week. And then I got a little crew that formed behind me, and then, I was like, hey, man, we never get no sleep, so let's call it No Sleep Productions. And we made the best of everything that we did, and we made sure we had lots of fun because that's just who we were, that's what we did. After I got my foot in the door, our program director at the time was Hurricane Dave, and he come up to me like, hey, dude, I need a board op, we're stuck. I called him up and said, hey, Marlon, how would you like to run the boards for Whammo? And pretty much the rest is history.
Station 2, location 755 with the Breakfast Jam. Sean Richards.
Taylor Diaz.
And Sly Doc. Good morning.
Tune in just for a few minutes to Whammo's Breakfast Jams, also including newswoman Melanie Hunter and producer Alexis Means. And it's instantly clear one thing this group does not need to do is cheer up.
106 Jams, WAMO, Pittsburgh's urban station, is where Marlon was able to hone his skills to become a part of the hottest morning show in the city.
We had great chemistry, the three of us. We all had our role. I was the straight person. I would always get in trouble for being funny because being silly by nature, we would get in trouble. Sly was the comedian. He was, supposed to spark the comedy, and Taylor she kind of played in between, kind of dingy. We would pick on her all the time, but great chemistry. And I was also the assistant director of production at that time.
After we shot our story at Whammo, wouldn't you know it, the cast changed.
Because I was fired. No, that's a real story. I had just gotten rededicated to the Lord in September of 1997. And I was going through a different type of change. Now I'm going all the way to the opposite side, wherein my life is just about, spirituality and being connected to God and everything. So it became a conflict of interest for my, my day job.